Hi. Uh, Today we can discuss one of the scenario which happens, sometimes even in the production environment and mostly in the dev environment, right? You may get an exception called class not found exception. So that there's a lot of probability of getting the class not found exception, but there is a very rare probability of getting no class definition found error. Okay, so let's deep dive into these two and see when those occurs and how to resolve them, right? Class not found exception most commonly occurs like let's say like I have a Oracle driver, right? And I am planning to load that driver in my Java JDBC layer, right? So I use a class.for name, right, to load my driver. So it won't throw any compilation error, okay? But right, when the jar file is not there, like it is actually not expecting referring the jar file, right? So the class not for name we can give any name, right? So we are expected to give the right syntax here, okay? So when you run the class, if the jar file is not in the class path, let's say my jar file is not in the class path, okay, then you will end up in the class not found exception, okay? So class not found, it is a checked exception, okay, which means like you should handle it, okay, like you should handle the class not found exception. So that is class not found. So to resolve it, like you need to make sure the library which you are going to use, right, that is in the right path. You need to make sure of that, okay? And on the other side, okay, there is a no class definition found error. This is not an exception, but this is a error, okay? So that will happen, okay? Let's say I have a class called test1. I am creating a new object for a test1, okay? Now my program completes perfectly, okay? But when running it, right, let's say like for some reason the class object which I created for test1, okay, it's got deleted or it's got renamed or it has crashed, right? At that point, if I run my test class, right, I will get a class no def found error because the class which I am going to refer itself is not there in the JVM. It is not there in the JVM. This is really a tricky error, okay, and this is really a very tough to find out, like why we are not able to find. Let's say I have a class inside a jar, and if that jar class is corrupted or jar is missing the class file, then it is and we are expecting the class to be there in the jar file. So it is really a very tricky issue to debug and to resolve it, okay? Uh, but if you are seeing no class def found error, then the issue is the class file is not there in the JVM to load at the runtime. Hope you all got it, right? Class not found is it's a checked exception which will happen like at a runtime when you don't have a right libraries in the class path, okay? You need to go and check the class path and fix it, okay? But the class def found error, it is also happened at runtime, but it is a error because that happens because the class itself is not there in the not there for the JVM to load it, okay?